Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to be back now, ongoing. As you know, we missed 2 days last week. I was at a conference, a Coffee Party USA. I'm a member of the board there, and we were arranging for the 2019-2020 year. You know, we kind of have our fiscal year crosses boundaries, and we had to spend some time doing a whole lot of planning, the direction that the Coffee Party USA was going to be taking. We have a new president that along with the board members, have changed the direction of where the Coffee Party is going, or what the Coffee Party will be directed to do, what we will be doing with the vast amount of the vast amount of people power that we have. Money is one thing, but people power, there is absolutely nothing like people power. When you are engaging people, when you are able to talk to people, when you are able to not convince people, but come to I don't like that word, common ground. Common ground sounds like somebody's acquiescing to another. When we come to a point where we can work together, where we can actually say, I like that. We take the mosaic, pull these different pieces together to form a great mosaic. Madre mia, that is what we're talking about, and that is what the Coffee Party does. We work more on. Look, I'm ideologically progressive. We have Coffee Party members that are ideologically conservative, and we sit down and we break bread, and we sit down and we eat together. We sit down and we talk. We sit down and we have fun, because we know one thing: most people are good people trying to get ahead. Some people based on how they were reared, some people based on how they progressed in life, or different, or have different things that they consider values. But you know what? Generally, folks coalesce in one space. So, folks, today we are going to have a great show for you, and I want you to do what I ask you all the time, as usual. If we are going to make a difference, especially in these very hard times that are coming right now, we have some let's understand this. We have some very hard times that we're about to witness. This impeachment hearing is going to have a whole lot of people saying a whole lot of things, trying to attempt to incite a whole lot of people to do a whole lot of things, and places like where we intend to bring people, not only in organizations like the Coffee Party, not only in independent media like Politics Done Right and otherwise. We intend not to allow things to cave where they can, but we intend to make the difference where the difference better be had. So, folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember to share. Why do I ask this? Not happy Monday, my dear sister Sally Salas. Sally Salas, who said, Chevernol nuclear meltdown on Twitter today. And you know what? I better bring up the chat so I can actually reach my YouTube people as well. So forgive me for not having been there right on top, but we've been having all kinds of troubles. You know, I'm just back into town. I just got back from Salt Lake City, Utah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. If you haven't been there, I tell you it's beautiful. And what I found is that the people in Salt Lake City are very nice. It reminds me a whole lot of Texas. Because no matter what you hear about Texas, the beautiful thing about being here in the South, the beautiful thing about being in Texas are people are nice. You know, some folks, not all, some folks have ideological differences, but people in Texas are nice. I love Texas. I love being a Texan. This transplanted Panamanian is now a full-blooded American Texan. Anyhow, let's get busy with the program. The title of the show is Impeach Trump Quickly and Then Campaign to Win the Vote. Hey, I want to remind you guys of something. Newt Gingrich is on all over TV saying, oh, what these guys are doing is wrong to El Senor. And I see you 828 on the phone. Give me a chance to get a little bit started, then I'll bring you up. Actually, I don't see that you press 1 saying that you want to talk. If you want to talk, caller on the phone, please hit the 1 so that we know that you want to talk. So hit 1, the number 1 if you want to talk. Anyhow, folks, as I was saying before, Newt Gingrich is all over TV saying how wrong the Democrats are for doing things the way they are. They never did anything like that. These guys just want the destruction of Donald Trump. They've been trying that from the very beginning, and that is never what we, the Republicans, wanted. We were always there for President El Senor Obama. We wanted him to succeed. The thing about it, folks, is people buy that stuff. People really buy that stuff. And when Newt Gingrich said that, politics done right is a one-person operation that gets volunteers every so often to assist. So it's not like we can, if we have to run to the database to find something, I got to go do it. If we have to go find a clip here or there, I got to go do it. MSNBC and all these guys have a clip manager indexed that they pay a fortune for, that they can access. They don't have to run things down on Google, YouTube, and all these other places to try to get the clip, to distill it, and bring it to you. Why don't they do it? You know what I always talk about, that it's not in their interest. That's not what they're all about. Well, I want to bring it to you. For all your friends that are telling you that what the Democrats want to do is to bring down this president, don't accept that. Remember to tell them, no, let's take a look at what it looks like when there's an organized effort to say, we will make sure a president fails. And here we go. Take a look at this, and then we'll move on from here, my brothers and sisters.
Over the past week, some have said it was indelicate of me to suggest that our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term. But the fact is, if our primary legislative goals are to repeal and replace the health spending bill, to end the bailouts, cut spending, and shrink the size and scope of government, the only way to do all of those things is to put someone in the White House who won't veto any of these things.
I received an email with a list of quotes on it, Republican candidates and leaders saying that bad economic numbers help Republicans' chances in 2012. And on that email is one of your quotes from last year, where you said, quote, the single most important thing we want to achieve is for President Obama to be a one-term president. So how do you respond to those Democratic lines of attack?
Well, that is true. That's my single most important political goal, along with every active Republican in the country.
That is my sole political goal, along with every Republican in this country. Caller from 828, if you want to speak, please push the number 1 so that I know you're not just listening. If you want to speak, caller, please push the number 1. I'll take you now, and then I'll move on from there. Okay, bear with me now. Okay, caller, you are on.
Hi, Egberto.
Hello, who do I have the honor of speaking with?
Hi, this is Hope in North Carolina. I'm a huge fan.
Hope, thank you so kindly. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Listen, if you want me to wear a banner of socialism, bring it on. But tell me how to maneuver around it. I know you've been doing some great work on that stuff, okay? And I'm listening and going over your website. And I think that, you know, nobody here in my house is popping any champagne over this impeachment thing right now. I am kind of going into the mode of what I can do without a leader, because it looks like we're going to desperately head into a situation where we're left with no leaders. And, who knows? Maybe we don't need them anyway. Maybe we just need your radio program, and we should just go out and buy Teslas and try to stay as healthy as we can, since we're not going to get any health care.
Wow,
But
Hope. Let me tell you, Hope. I just love what you just said there on two things. We are, about not having leaders. I think what we have to do is develop our leaders, and by the way, the fact that you are here and that you're doing what you're doing, you are a leader, right? And you're saying, oh, what can I do? Oh, thank you so kindly for asking what you can do. I mean, what you can do is exactly what you just did. I mean, the listeners that just heard, you've just empowered a whole bunch of listeners right now to say, wow, you mean I can do something? And that is one of the things that we all ask everybody to do. Hope is like one of the things that I really hope that I can play a little part in, and you can play a little part in, and all of us can play a little part in. Since we are, and I don't want to sound conceited, but since we are in the know, and since each of us have intersecting but our own spheres of influence. You have a sphere of influence. You have a sphere of people who listen to you, who look up to you. They won't necessarily listen to me, even though there may be some intersectionality in our groups. That is great because you are there. And that I tell to every single one of the people who listen to me, right? It's like, okay, I am thankful that you're listening to me. You can have you can intersect those spheres of influence. And there's this thing called geometric progression, where if we get all these growing intersecting spheres, we can make a difference. And that's where it comes as far as, and then we're going to get our health care, Medicare for all, and then we're going to get all the things. It's not going to come from the top. It's going to come from us. So when you hear all those different politicians saying bottom up, for real, it is bottom up, Hope.
I totally agree with you. And the only other thing I want to say is with respect to this impeachment thing, I will believe this when I see it, and I am not on the fanatic train, hey, he's gone yet, okay? The only thing I know about this impeachment is that Mayor Ed Koch is going to be rolling over in his grave.
Tell
me.
Yes.
Because he endured years of his ugliness and ridiculousness in the city of New York, and trust me, it was a word that I can't say on the air. So I'm going to hang up and listen to the rest of the program, okay?
Thank you so kindly, Hope, for calling. And look, let me tell you, there anything that you can offer us as far as your way of being, we are here for you, and vice versa. Thank you so kindly.
All right. You have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about whether this thing is over. This thing is not over. As far as the impeachment is concerned, it's not over, nor do I think, okay, I'm going to tell you two things, and then I'm going to go into the blog of the week, which has to do with this impeachment as well. One, I think Nancy Pelosi is playing a game, and I think Nancy Pelosi is not playing a game for impeachment necessarily, but a game to make us believe that is what's happening. I've said that several times. I got hit for saying that on Daily Kos earlier, but what I am giving credit to is that she was brought kicking and screaming. And in the blog of the week, which is the front page article that I wrote for Daily Kos that dropped yesterday at 8 p.m. Central or 9 p.m. I don't remember which one it is. I'm going to go over that today. So we'll talk about that. So anyhow, let's get on with the show, my brothers and my sisters. It goes as follows. The title of the show, as soon as it comes back up from having been broken, it says, Impeach Trump quickly and then campaign to win the vote. Subtitle, Democrats were relentless and they were the ones who defined the narrative. If one is going to impeach Trump in these times, that is the way to do it. But they must be strategic and do much more. Trump is really in trouble now, and he's acting like a cornered wild animal. Yes, we can impeach him. The reason? For a change, Democrats did not allow the Trump administration to gain the advantage on the narrative. Note I said Democrats and not Democratic leaders, and there's a distinction there. The Democrats, because they kept on coalescing onto one position, what began to happen, as you've seen, is that they started to do what? They started to force the hand of those who call themselves the leaders. Continuing, They are not caught flat-footed as they were with the Mueller report, which is, in my opinion, was more devastating. Congress must impeach Trump now. Send the trial off to the Senate and start campaigning to all Americans. Most importantly, with this president this week, there is no excuse not to run the progressive candidate Americans say they want, absent their fears. So, folks, is that another call or is that the same call that didn't hang up? Let me check just before I go to the blog of the week. Hello, anybody there? Okay, let me go ahead and hang that up. Bear with me, guys. Every now and then, you know how these controls work. And anybody wants to call, do remember what the number is. The number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Hi, Vince. Board of Director, Coffee Party. Just saw you back in Salt Lake City, Utah. Thanks for being here, my brother. Great to see you here on I think you were coming through YouTube. Yeah, you were coming through YouTube. And great to see you on YouTube, brother. Anyhow, continuing. You know what time it is, folks? I think you all really know what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay. The title of the blog post is, "Let us impeach the president quickly and move on to earning every American vote." Notice what I said. Earning every American vote. I didn't say earning every progressive vote. I didn't say earning every right-wing vote. I didn't say earning every anarchist vote. I said earning every American vote. Democrats responded to the whistleblower scandal almost as fast as they could. In fact, even as Trump attempted to set the narrative before they got a chance to see the transcript with the expectations of defining the coverage. Democrats were relentless, and they were the ones who defined the narrative. If one is going to impeach a president in these times, that is the way to do it. You have got to have the narrative. Unfortunately, you can be right as hell and lose the narrative, as was done with the release of the Mueller report. The Mueller report gave well, we'll continue. The response was a far cry from the Mueller report response, where Democrats allowed Trump and his cabal to define the narrative. I wrote then at the Daily Kos, I want us to impeach and convict the president. Unfortunately, our country is so uninformed that I know Donald Trump and his cabal will take advantage of the impeachment better than we will. Why? Because it already is happening. It is already happening. The Mueller report was devastating, but the Trump show, the preamble to the release of the redacted report, was more effective than most thought it would be. The percentage of Americans wanting impeachment actually declined after the report was interpreted by the Trump people. After they did what? After they defined the narrative. Democrats should have been waiting for the Mueller report like a staged event. They should have taken delivery, given a big speech, asked reporters to come back in 4 hours where they would give a preliminary take on the report after the experts examined it. They then should have come in front of the cameras, acted with incredulity that William Barr could characterize the story as exonerating the topic points and graphics, with topic points and graphics. At that point, they should have declared that they would begin hearings immediately, because the country cannot wait any longer, as it is clear Trump damaged our national security with his suspect relations with foreign agents, corruption, and obstruction of justice. Time it out. So you see, it's staged, but it's real. That's what they should have done, right? They should have been ready. You know, they should have been ready. They should look. If you know, if a famous person dies tomorrow, at about 5 minutes later, you will notice that the New York Times is there's an obituary that's completely written, and they just stick the name in there, and it's done. Why? If they hear that Michael Jackson was about to die, I'm just saying, I'm using somebody dead already, I know. They would have had all the research about Michael Jackson done about the things he did in his life and all these things written as an obituary, and the only spaces left is how he died, what were the conditions. It's things that you can put in 5 minutes, and they would beat everybody out with the notion. You have, in these days of fast electronics, in these days where news move as fast as it does, you have to be ready. Democrats were caught flat-footed. Democrats were caught sleeping. But instead of putting in work to clothe and sell the product to the American people, they allowed the Trump plot to succeed. Democrats lost the ability to believably inculcate in the minds of Americans that the Trump ordeal is anything other than politics. Dirty and corrupt, but politics nonetheless. Politics nonetheless. Suffice it to say, this time around, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was ready with the big speech. Why do you think she was ready with the big speech? She was ready with the big speech because the floodgates were starting to open. And if the entire caucus got ahead of Nancy Pelosi, what would it have said? Her power has been superseded by the masses. And who is directing the masses would have been the one in power, not by name, but virtually. So the most powerful Democrat who previously tempered talks about impeachment was now ready to impeach. This is how one wields power with a narrative. All the leaders of the Democratic Party are on board, and every day, sideline timid Democrats came on board. This is a necessary excitement for the progressive base of the Democratic Party. Many who I've spoken to feel that the unwarranted fear many felt towards the president's false prowess was being broken. Democrats must remember that Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million people and won the Electoral College by 80,000 votes and have never cracked 50% in the polls. He should have never been feared. People that are fearing, oh, I wonder if he can get elected again. I don't say that. Do your damn job. Like Hope, who called here. Do something. Do something. In those 3 cities, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Milwaukee, go into the neighborhoods, go into the hoods and say, hey, you know, if you guys had voted, we wouldn't have had Trump, who's taking all this stuff away from you, who's making life worse for you while he makes life very well for the wealthy. You know, it's millions more voted otherwise for somebody else. He is not the president of the United States except by a constitutional aberration. Let's all remember that and stop having fear. A fear that would bring a Biden who will either lose or would be just different semantically from Donald Trump, but not economically. So let's start thinking, brothers and sisters. Let's start not operating out of fear, but going out and doing it because I tell you what, I'm here in Harris County in Houston, Texas, and all these young activists are out there. They have already banging doors in neighborhoods that never had a door banged before. They are talking about expanding the base. We turned Harris County completely blue in 2018. And they're intent on not only keeping it blue, but making it dark blue. Because they're not operating, these are progressives out there. They're not operating out of fear. They're going out there and they're saying, this is ours. We are taking this. We are taking this. When America wants anything in this world, America takes it. But when you're taking it honorably, it is divine. Okay, so hell no. And so let me repeat that paragraph again, and it goes as follows. He should have never been feared. Obama won by millions more. And I said Obama, I really meant Clinton won by millions more. Did Republicans... no. I need to read that part over because I need to get the right context. I needed to start one sentence before. Democrats must remember that Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million people and won the Electoral College by 80,000 votes that had never cracked, and he had never cracked 80 or 50% in the polls. He should have never been feared. Obama won by millions more. Hillary won by 3 million. Obama won by millions more. Obama got more votes than any other president in this country has ever gotten, bar none, period. No other president has gotten the amount of votes Obama got. Remember that. They don't talk about that a whole lot. I wonder how comes the media never says that America must really be more to the left if whenever Democrats win, they win overwhelmingly. Whenever Republicans win in the last several cycles, they either lost the popular vote or they won by a little bit. We have to start telling the people the truth. America ain't no middle right or center right country. America is no center left country. America is a left country by values. It is a middle country by fear. Let's remember those realities about what America wants and what America means. Let's remember that. So, that is what Americans like is strength. What Americans like is ones who stands up for their convictions. So what now? One hopes Democrats will display strength. Most of Trump's bad deeds are known and documented. Draft the articles of impeachment, vote on it, and send it to the Senate. Each Democrat should then go back to their district and campaign like hell. In other words, just vote just vote for impeachment. Call it a day. Write up the articles. There are several of them. Mimic the report from the Mueller Report, and mimic this stuff that's coming in, and these six what do they call them? These 6 breakouts. These 6 committees. Go ahead and draft the articles of impeachment, send it to the Senate, and let them be the one who decide that they want to keep a traitor, a corrupt person in office that is simply milking the people and messing with their constituents by moving their wealth to the rich. Let them be responsible for that, and then you can add that to your campaign narrative. Remember, we are for the people, all people. They have a cabal in Washington in their own bubble. And by the way, that includes some of the Democratic leadership as well. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Anyhow, here's the deal. Impeachment will do little to move the poll numbers on Trump or on congresspersons, okay? Notice, and I stand by that word, because a lot of people say, I notice all the reporters today are talking strong. Oh, the polls are moving. The polls are moving. The polls are not moving. Yes, what's moving is Democrats are becoming less fearless. And in becoming less fearless, they're telling the truth. Impeach, impeach, impeach. A lot of Republicans who have been conditioned to believe that somehow impeachment is an attack on Republicans, they're still not there, and they may still never come around, right? That's why I say, don't wait on the polls. Go out there and earn the vote. Go out there and earn the vote. People will reward those who go out and earn the vote. Last show that I had, I think it was on Wednesday, I told folks, you know what? Go ahead and go into Appalachia. When Elizabeth Warren went into West Virginia, these guys, these coal miners thought they weren't going to like her. They just thought, oh, here comes this progressive. Here comes, that's not what they say out there. Here comes this damn liberal that came out to Appalachia in West Virginia. And when she was done, one of these rough guys, rough West Virginia coal miner said, wow, I'm not saying I'm voting for her, but I like what she says. I will take that. I will take that sentiment day after day, because once I hear that sentiment, I know I am talking to somebody who's entertaining a conversation that is no longer ideological, but mostly he is starting to look out for his own interests. And when people start to look out for their own interests, my brothers and my sisters, when people start to look out for their own interest, what happens is they always vote the most progressive candidate. Why? Because that's the person or persons or people who look out for them. Let's remember that. And you know, Elizabeth Warren gave a speech at Netroots Nation 2015 that I mimic all the time, I follow, I put out there all of the time, where she goes through the polls for policy after policy after policy. And what you find is that you find most Americans want these things that progressives are preaching, most of the things they want. Because, you know, I was talking to a friend I was at the Coffee Party Board meeting in Salt Lake City, Utah this weekend. I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I said, you know, the Republicans, actually, you know what? Let me finish the blog of the week, and then I'm going to go into that story because it's a rather important story. So what now? One hopes Democrats will display strength. Most of Trump's bad deeds are already known and documented. Draft the articles of impeachment, vote on it, and send it on to the Senate. Each Democrat should then go back to their districts and campaign like hell. Here is the deal. Impeachment will do little to move the poll numbers on Trump or on congresspersons. Trump is a known quantity. Even his supporters know he is a corrupt human being. Unless each Democrat gives a compelling and convincing argument that a vote for a Democrat will make their lives better, they will continue to vote for our corrupt president and his cabal. We have some party operatives who continue to balance those who promote more progressive policies against the policies mandated by their corporate masters. I want to repeat that because this is a hit on our democratic establishment that is warranted, that we need to pop out, break out. We need to make sure if they continue that stance to vote them out and put the appropriate people in. We have some, here it goes again, we have some party operatives who continue to balance those who promote more progressive policies against the policies mandated by their corporate masters. They continuously object to policies that empower the poor, empower the middle class. Don't be fooled. Some you least expect would tolerate a Trump if progressives got their act together strategically and put winning above everything else. And that is what each congressperson running must do. Make the case unabashedly. Make the case unabashedly. So again, I want to repeat that sentence. Do not be fooled. Some you least expect would tolerate a Trump if progressives got their act together and strategically and put winning above everything else. If they got their act strategically and put winning above everything else, some you least expect would tolerate a Trump. And that is what each congressperson running must do. Make the case unabashedly. Impeachment behind us, presidential candidates, available politicians, activists, and progressive media should be out there detailing how Medicare for all will ensure real health care without breaking the bank, leaving most with more money in their pockets. They should do the work to sell the Green New Deal in Appalachia and the West and the Midwest by explaining to them precisely what it would mean for them. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other progressives should go to Kentucky and other states where they don't belong and visit the coal miners and others to take the time to explain how Green New Deal policies will make them healthier and wealthier. They may sneak in wins where they least expect. They should sell college debt forgiveness as no different than what we do for corporations. It is amazing. It is amazing what simply showing up may do for Democrats in this cycle. Show up in the ghettos. Show up in the barrios. Show up in Appalachia. That is the coalition. Unfortunately, we either cede or disregard these. We either cede or disregard these, and we should never do that. When people talk about on the coast. Sometimes they're right about that. Sometimes they're right that we just assume those folks in the middle of the country just don't matter. Nobody goes there. Oh, they're not going to vote for us anyway. I give up on absolutely nobody. I give up on absolutely nobody, nor should you. We should never, ever say, that person is not going to vote for us. Oh, they are not going to be there for us. They will if we make that effort. That Trump voter that so many people despise, I love. And I mean that. I am going there to earn their vote. Look what I look like, okay? And I'm going there to earn their vote. Understand that Tulsi Gabbard's sentiment has some validity. She said, I think when you step out of the bubble here in Washington and you get to where most people in the country are, look, I'm not a lawyer, but most people reading through the transcripts are not going to find that extremely compelling cause to throw out a president that won an election in 2016. A lot of people on Daily Kos gave me hell for using Tulsi Gabbard's statement. Oh, she's with Modi in India, and she went and had lunch with, I think it was Gaddafi or something like that. And look, I don't care who you are. If you make a sentence or a statement that has validity, I'm not going to dog the validity of a sentence for something that you may or may not have done. And not only that, I'm not going to can a good idea because a good idea came from the quote-unquote wrong place. You know, I think we have to be progressive. And progressivity tells you that everybody gets the benefit of the doubt. Everybody gets a chance for redemption. Everybody gets to do the things necessary to move on. Now, activists and pundits understand this stuff, but most Americans are not all that interested, as Steve Konecki found. The media and politicians have normalized Trump so much so that it is unlikely much of this would change as it did in the Nixon days. So yes, to impeach the president. Yes, to doing it quickly. But note the sole purpose. The sole purpose of this impeachment is to do one's constitutional duty and to deservedly mark this president as one who failed the law. But to win, Democrats, progressives, have got to go out there and earn it by convincing Americans that they are the existential option. End of blog of the week, and thank you for listening. Okay, let me go to the folks on the on YouTube and Facebook Live now. But before I do that, I want to remind you that this is a call-in show. Give me a call at 646-716-5812. And they told me I speak very fast, so I'm going to slow it down some. 646-716-5812. And before I go to the screen to answer these questions or address these comments, I want to remind you, for those of you who think, oh, the Democrats are picking on the president. The Democrats are going through an impeachment proceeding or an impeachment inquiry. They're following the law. What they're not doing is what Mitch McConnell did. And I want to play that for those of you who are just coming back to show you what it was like when folks were attacking a president for no reason, just saying, we are going to void what the majority of Americans asked for. We have a senator in McConnell saying, most Americans who have voted President Obama into power, more than any other president has ever received. He got the majority of the vote by more than any other president ever received in this country. No other president has matched. Okay? And what do we get? We get a senator who in effect is saying, I don't give a damn what the American people say. And I want you to listen to it, and then I'll come back and answer what everybody's asking. But please give us a call, 646-716-5812 if you want to be online. You want to be on air? 646-716-5812.
Over the past week, some have said it was indelicate of me to suggest that our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term. But the fact is, if our primary legislative goals are to repeal and replace the health spending bill, to end the bailouts, cut spending, and shrink the size and scope of government, the only way to do all of those things is to put someone in the White House who won't veto any of these things.
I received an email with a list of quotes on it, Republican candidates and leaders saying that bad economic numbers help Republicans' chances in 2012. And on that email is one of your quotes from last year, where you said, quote, "The single most important thing we want to achieve is for President Obama to be a one-term president." So how do you respond to those Democratic lines of attack?
Well, that is true. That's my single most important political goal, along with every active Republican in the country.
Okay, there it goes. I don't want you guys to listen to anybody you hear on TV stating, "Oh, we never did these things. We were always so..." Look, wrong. All right, let's go. Mike Cisak. So, Egberto, you're saying the Democratic Party should have been waiting to lie about what actually happened when it came out. Trump and company didn't have to interpret anything on the report since it was secondhand and wrong on many points. And Mike Cisak, if you believe that, I want to sell you a bridge in the Bronx, in that I own in the Bronx, and a bridge that I own in Brooklyn. Look, I understand. Let me tell you one thing, Mike. And I am so happy that you come to Politics Done Right often, even if you disagree with me most of the times, but at least you know that there is an alternative source. Your sources are simply lying to you. And eventually you will find out that your sources have lied to you, not only about economics, but also economic policies, not only about your party, but what your party is doing to harm you as a farmer, as a good farmer, as somebody I can't help but respect and know that the country needs. So, my brother, that's all I can say to you. In this case, my brother, you're absolutely wrong. Daniel Ledo said, does Egberto really think as all just about narratives and process? It's not all about narratives or process, but some narratives are correct, some narratives are wrong. The problem is a well-directed wrong narrative. A well-directed narrative that is a lie can work better than a poorly articulated narrative that it's true. That is a fact. Daniel Ledo also says, I wonder what else about the Constitution he feels is an aberration. To all of it. My particular concern about the Constitution, the fact that it needed, that we're up to 28th Amendment, just points out how flawed a document it was. Anything needed 28 amendments, and the kind of amendments that it needed, things like, giving black people the ability to vote, giving women the ability to vote, not taking away your property, that not only property owners can, look, if you go down the list of, this great document have been so damaging to many people. I am not look. It's a great document for who it was written for. It didn't become better until we expanded who it was written for, and that is a fact. Edward Ballard, disgraceful. I'm not sure what you mean by disgraceful. Mike Cisak, thank God Hillary didn't win. She's a corrupt criminal who desires authoritarian power. Are you watching our current president, sir? Daniel Ledo, you really do have to wonder at the perceptual aptitude of a guy who actually believes that Americans want his special breed of crazy with smiley faces. No, I don't have to believe it, my dear brother Daniel Ledo. The polls have asked Americans, if I sit down and have coffee with any American and I said, would you like to have health care wherever you go by putting in a card, it's all paid for, and this is how you will pay for it, they will say yes. If I say, do you want a country where if you have a kid, the moral thing to do is for that kid to be with a care holder, with the person who birthed him or the father, be there for them. Do you want a society that supports that? They're going to say yes. And I can go one after the other with progressive values that are in fact moral. In fact, it's the things that, guess who would want it? Jesus would want it. If you see the morality of the progressive notion, sir, it's not crazy smiley faces. What is evil is when we tell people the market will dictate. We can't do that because the market does not allow it. That is evil. That is immoral. That is inhumane. That forgets that we are human. So, Ledo, I will debate you on that any day of the week, my dear brother. Okay, Mike, I'm coming to your phone in a little bit, 409, I'm coming to you. Mike Cisak, most people know and were reminded that a vote for Democrats makes their lives worse off. That's a joke. Lee Grant, the Electoral College and by the way, 409, if you want to speak, please push the number 1 so that I know that you're not just listening. 409, if you want to speak, please push the number 1 so that I know you're not just listening. That way I know that you're not, that you want to speak. Some people just call in to listen to the show. Let's go. Lee Grant, the Electoral College works as is specified in the Constitution. I understand that. It's an undemocratic portion of the Constitution, like I have said many times, and that undemocracy makes us a laughing stock in the world that we could have 3 million people more like vote for somebody, and somehow we who preach democracy simply come back and say, well, we're not a democracy, we are a Republican democracy. It makes no sense. It is rather silly. Daniel Ledo, Democrats have already put winning above anything else, the truth mostly. That's a joke. Marshall Gordon from YouTube says, Mike Pence will never be president. No, he will not. Marshall W. Gordon also said, Veda G3 sits. I know that is something I maybe should know, but I don't. Marshall W. Gordon says, Kapla. I don't know what that is. And I am out of Samandi. I am Zida. You know, maybe there's a lot there. Maybe I'm just some import that doesn't understand these things, but maybe you should have kind of enlightened me, Mr. Gordon. Okay, Daniel Ledo, look at what I look like. That is how Egberto's cute little way of implying all Trump supporters are racist. Be better than that, Egberto. No, that's not what I'm trying to imply. What I'm trying to imply is that I am willing to forget everything to go speak to them. So no, you're wrong in your implications. Mike Cisak says, Tulsi Gabbard is about the only Democrat running for president who isn't crazy. The rest are just nutcases. Oh my God. Come on, Mike, you know better than that. Marshall is still bringing those things. I am Sida, Vinny, whatever that is. I have no idea, Marshall. Maybe you'll tell me in another post or something. Lee Grant says, true, plus she has the best hair in the race. Don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. Okay. Mike Cisak, except for Reagan and Nixon. Okay, whatever that means. Daniel Ledo just called me a liar. Okay, Daniel, I don't know. Maybe you should tell me what I'm lying about, and then I'll probably be able to defend myself. David Salerno, welcome aboard. It's amazing how many Nazi cultist apologists are out there. Trump sold out our country. These cultists are okay with any crimes he commits. Like he said, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and nothing would happen. These are not deplorable as they so proudly call themselves. Rather, I refer to them as the unredeemables. This election will be about Americans versus Nazis. We Americans outnumber the Nazis 3-1, which means millennials must be registered to vote and committed to vote every election. I don't like to call people Nazis, David Salerno, but you're right that 3-1 in this country at least are people who are open to have their minds enriched. So you're right that I do believe, and by the way, when I say enriched, I don't mean voting for any Democrat. I mean voting for a Democrat or any politician who is going to be pushing a progressive message that is morally best for the American citizenry. That's what I mean. Saleh Salah says, racism seeps from Moscow, Mitch's pores. Hey, Saleh, that was almost poetic. That was almost, not almost poetic. That was poetic. Okay, let me bring 409 in. 409, you are in the house. Come on in. How can I help you?
Oh, hey, Egberto, it's Anand.
Anand, talk to me, my brother.
Well, what's the topic of the day? I'm just calling in.
Oh, the topic of today is impeach Trump now and move on to win the vote, meaning we need to hurry up and do what we're going to do and go out there and win and win votes with the progressive message.
My thought, in general, I'm skeptical about impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter the topic. There is only one way to win impeachment, but the Democratic Party doesn't really want to do it.
Let me hear it.
If you really, really, really want impeachment, it would be a 50-state movement. You would throw open the DNC budget open, and you're going to have protests in Kentucky. You have protests in Texas. You have protests in Louisiana. You're going to do a 50-state protest movement to get him impeached, like the Nixon time period where there was protests all the time over Vietnam. If you really want to impeach him, then you're going to do that. If you're just going to have, like, some sort of Benghazi hearing, like you're calling it impeachment, I don't know. I'm not really interested. I don't think it's going to win.
Well, you
So,
know, Hope,
it's not grassroots.
I
This is
think
fake.
I think the person
fake.
that agrees with you, Anand, is Hope, who called earlier. Hope said she'll believe it when she sees it, as far as impeachment is concerned. I am there with you. I think Nancy Pelosi was pushed screaming to do these committee things, and I think they may try to let it die in committee. I think what you're asking for is likely to happen by look, I don't know. You know Harris County very well, Dr. Bott. That's who we're speaking to, by the way, Anand, Dr. Bott. You know Harris County very well, and you know the activists are really driving hard in this county right now. In fact, as we speak, there are several protests going on at several of the Republican offices right now, led by both Indivisible and other organizations as we speak. So, I mean, and that is what turned Harris County, and they're also protesting, wanting that impeachment as well. So I agree with you that it has to come from the bottom up, but it's going to be those guys in those committees who actually draft up the articles of impeachment. And I think if we do what you said, that 50-state thing, oh, yeah. And you know what? I don't put that past us when some of these things come up, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I just don't think. But the problem is, it's got to be an interaction of top and bottom for something like impeachment. It's got to be. Yeah, you're right. There might be individual people, but you don't really win until your enemies have given up. And that's how you knew the French Revolution worked, was when the people said, "Well, I guess we can't have a king anymore." It took a while, but that's how you really win. So you don't really win.
You're kind of breaking up, Anand. You're kind of breaking up, Anand. You're kind of breaking up.
Oh, your victory is only when the enemy has admitted defeat, and by that standard, the Republicans have not been defeated for 30 years.
Right. Well, I mean, let me tell you. You know where I stand. I am hopeful. One of the reasons that I'm doing this is, at some point in one of these cycles, Anand, it will happen because yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I am hopeful. I hate to use the word hopeful. I am intentional in ensuring that people, that we continue to engage people to make what you're talking about a reality. Because what happens is we cannot allow cynicism to seed success to these people. And the way you allow cynicism to seed success is just throw your hands up in the air and do nothing. And what I'm saying is we are going to multiply people to do what is necessary to win. If it's not this cycle, it is the next, but eventually we'll get there.
Okay. And I have one more question for you for today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a segment of people who are now voting Democratic that we don't need in the party? Specifically, people who probably are very affluent, upper middle class, basically Republicans, but due to some personality issues with Trump, they don't like him. But they are in many ways dictating the Democratic Party policy.
Yes, I'm with
They're
you.
against Medicare for all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Biden is a leader of those people, and many others. Biden and Klobuchar and others. I don't consider.
Pelosi.
Right. I do not consider them Democrats. Okay. I consider them.
Okay.
I don't consider them Democrats at all. And what I do consider them are the people that we need to eventually get out of the party. For now, just like they believe. Just put it this way. Just like they have used progressives over the last decades to attain their goals of neoliberalism, as we grow the progressive movement, we must use them the other way around. So, I mean, ultimately, what we have to do is we know what we have to do.
All right. Have a good day.
Have a great one, and thank you for calling in, Anand. Take care. All right, folks, that was Anand. Okay, let's see. Mike Cesek sent me to national origins, unraveling the origins of the Trump-Russia. Look, if it comes, let me first tell you, if it comes from the National Review, what I have to do when I read articles from the National Review is not only study them well, but go through their sources well, because most of the time you find a circular sourcing from National Review. And when you start finding circular sourcing, you realize that these are just basically design, either lies or misconstrued data. So I understand, and I will go ahead and visit what you asked to visit. But, you know, there's no unraveling to the Trump-Russia thing. Our president is a traitor based on what he has done, based on just what we know. There's no two ways about it. Absolutely no two ways about it. Now, whether Democrats and others have the pelotas to do something about it is another issue. And that is going to determine whether we allow a dictator or not. So I'm not, look, so all these people that are attempting to defend the president, and look, you can try. But there's a point where facts must reign, and I think that is where we're at. There's a point where facts must reign. And I'm in mostly the fact zone. Let me go to caller from 832. Caller from 832, come on in. Let's see. Come on, let's see if I can. All right, caller from 832, come on in.
Hey, what's going on, Egberto?
I'm doing fine. Who do I have the honor of speaking with?
This is Herbert Sanchez. How are you?
Herbert, talk to me.
So, quick question. This is a simple question that I have for you.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Harris County, we have some Republicans running disguised as Democrats.
Right.
How do we stop that?
The way you stop Republicans
As a party, how do we stop that?
Let me tell you how you stop that. We have in Harris County many of these elections that are nonpartisan. All right? What we do is we simply call them out. And you call a show like this. You think that they're Republicans running, you call them out and let them come to this show and prove that they're not. It's that simple. You know, we don't have to, things don't have to be difficult, my brother, at all. If you think somebody is a Republican who doesn't mean well for Harris County, who if they get into power will do wrong to Harris County, you call them. It is your responsibility to call them out. Not to be hiding behind, well, I don't think so. I think he's a Republican because XYZ, and it's not that he's a Republican that disqualifies him for this position, is that he won't represent the people appropriately, and he's misrepresenting who he is. You can do that, Senor Sanchez. Did I get the name right?
Yes.
You can do that. Is there somebody you want to call out right now? Mr. Sanchez? Hello? Okay, I can't hear you. I don't know if you're on mute or what. Okay, if I don't hear from you in 2 seconds, I'm going to have to disconnect the line. Are you there, Mr. Sanchez? Okay, you can call back if you need to. All right. Anyway, folks, we're coming close to the end of the show. I want to thank you all for being here. You know what we do. You know how we roll. Before I go, I need to do what I always do at the end of the show and ask you to please remember that this is a call. This is not only a call-in show, but this is a show that needs your support. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. For you, the reason I call this out is because we also have a lot of podcast listeners, not only the ones that see the screen. So we also have podcast listeners. patreon.com/politicsdoneright, or you can go to politicsdoneright.com and support the program. It is very inexpensive to do so, and we ensure that we get the message out. We ensure we get the message out. So please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright and support the show. Look, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. And you know how I end the show. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.